In today's video, we're going to find out which camera is best for me. More importantly, which one's best for you, Canon or Lumix. And we're going to look at all the different needs out there, be it you just take photos, whether you just take video, or whether you do a bit of both. Because at the end of the day, there's 5 different users.
5!
And I'm going to have the answer for you and be able to evidence why. Hey everyone, hope you're tickety-boo. If, like me, you've been procrastinating over which one's best for you, whether it's the Canon or the Lumix, it's a bloody hard decision to make.
Difficult decision to make.
As I really have been tempted to swap from Canon to Lumix over the last 18 months. And you can watch any amount of YouTube videos out there, can't you? But until you get it in your own hands and give it a good test, then you're never going to know, really. And although places like Lumix and Canon and that, they lend you them, or you can even rent them, can't you? You're not going to know 100% whether or not it's the right one for you until you really get some good use of it. And that means you're going to have to either rent one or buy one for a long period of time. So what I did a while ago is I went and brought one of the Lumix S5 MKIIs, because what I wanted to do is test it for a long period of time against the Canon R6 MKII. And I made a video on them a couple of weeks ago, side by side, testing all the different things. You can find a video up there somewhere, or you'll find it in the description down below. So as I said, there's 5 different types of users out there. And I'm going to tell you straight away, rather than having to watch the whole video, which one I think is best for you. And actually, if you want to find out more, then you can watch a bit further into the video where I evidence why the certain types of cameras are certainly different for different types of people. And then you're going to have the confidence to go and buy which one's best for you. So to give you more confidence as well, I'm not affiliated by any of these brands in any way, shape or form. I've gone out and bought all this gear with my own dosh. And following on from the tests that I've done and the other video that I've made, I'm going to let you know at the end of this video what I've decided to do. And it might well surprise you. Hold on a minute, I need to get that because the dogs are going to be mental. Not sure what's in here, but I'll save it for another video.
This is very exciting.
Anyway, here we go for that quick guide. So if you're just a pure photographer, and I mean you're not worried about video in any way, shape or form, then your choice is definitely going to be Canon. And the next simplest thing is if you're a videographer who doesn't worry about photography in any way, shape or form, then to be honest with you, it's not going to be Canon, it's going to be Lumix. And then that moves us on to the hybrid shooter, doesn't it? There's 2 different types of those. There's the one that does the photography the most and then has a bit of video. That's still going to stick with Canon because of the photography side of things. The Canon is so much better than the Lumix. And like I said, I'll tell you why in a minute. Next, you get the 4th option. Now, that's the person who does videography, but also wants some photography aspects of things. So whether they want to do, I don't know, thumbnails or take some portraits and things like that. Just simple photos. Now, that's going to be the Lumix. Now then, there's one more left, isn't there? I said there was 5. And that 5th one is somebody like myself who likes to take lots of photos and also likes to do lots of videos. And that's where it gets a bit more tricky. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you what I've decided to do, because at the end of the day, you need the evidence, don't you, to make sure you make the right choice. And it's going to be no mumbo jumbo scientific stuff and all of that, all the stats and everything else. I leave that to other people. This is just real life evidence and views from what I've got from when I've been out and about using them in different scenarios. Firstly, let's cover off what they both have in common. Both feel really great in the hand. And they also both have really nice layouts, easy to get to on all the buttons and things like that. I must admit, having had a Canon for over 30 years, then I'm a bit biased on that and I'm used to that. After having a Lumix for quite a while, I'm starting to get used to it. And actually, I'll be honest, I'm starting to prefer it for certain things, especially the video side of stuff, as it is more focused towards video, whereas the Canon's menus and things like that are more focused towards photography. And that's going to be one of the reasons why you choose Canon if you're a pure photographer or that hybrid shooter who likes to take photos more than they do video. Also, there's one other thing that I said in the other video. I was worried about not having this lock mechanism you can see here on the R6 on the Lumix, or so I thought. However, thanks to a few comments in that video, somebody's let me know how to do it. And also, thanks to Sam Holland for putting the video together to show me how to do it. It's pretty simple, really. And if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments down below, but that'll be for another video. More importantly, why would you go for Canon for pure photography or that hybrid shooter who likes to do more photos than video? The main reason is, even though Lumix has come on a long way with auto put my tongue back in, autofocus, is the actual autofocus. Yeah, the Canons are absolutely sublime at it. I think they are the best on the market myself personally. And the second reason is going to be down to the frames per second that you can shoot photos at, because the Canon does do more than the Lumix. Now here's some examples. With the Canon R6 Mark II, it has an automatic AI autofocus, which actually can pick up humans, animals, or vehicles. It can even pick up a helmet of a person in a sports car, a racing car, while it's driving around a track and things like that. And to be honest with you, I don't think the Lumix is capable of doing it in that much detail. And as you can see here, it also has these 3 settings that you can isolate it from, so you can do different types of shoots, whether it's humans, dogs, cats, birds, horses, motorbikes, planes, trains, and automobiles.
Check planes, trains, boats, everything short of the goddamn space shuttle.
And the same goes for things like the Canon R3 and even I believe the R7s and R8s, all of those, they have so many more focal points when it comes down to autofocus. As an example, the R6 Mark II, and let me just check on that, it has 1,053 focal points. And the R3, believe it or not, has, let me check this one as well, 4,779. Now, if you compare that against the Lumix, and let me get this one right, Lumix only has 779, so it's quite clear that it's going to be better, isn't it? Also, in my experience of using both of these now, the Canon tends to stick on that subject that you've got, and then when you're locked on it, it really, really is good, and it can follow it, and, you know, whether it's a bird flying through the air, or bikes, or cars, or surf rescue stuff like I like to do. The Lumix is okay, but it just seems to lose focus every now and then, especially if you're doing like high frames per second. But hold that thought, because when it comes to video, there's something a little bit different. And as I said, the frames per second, the Canon does mechanically 12 FPS, and electronically it does 40 FPS, whereas a Lumix can do 7 frames per second on mechanical and actually 30 frames on the electronic side. But like I said, you tend to lose a few shots in between when you're doing the 30 frames per second. But again, that's just going to be down to the advancements. I'm sure Lumix is going to come along with that. And by the way, the R3 can shoot up to 195 frames per second. That's not really a fair comparison, is it? But like I said, hold that thought when it comes to video, because I don't know why it is, and this is only through my experience, and there may be settings that you can change on the Canon and things like that. But when it comes to video, I find that the Lumix is actually holding onto a subject and sticking to it a bit quicker. And also when you want to change subjects and things like that and put things in front of the camera, yeah, it seems to change more responsively. So the video autofocus on the Lumix, I believe anyway, seems to be better on it. So that's why it's one reason I would choose the Lumix for video, or if you're a hybrid shooter who does more video than photos, that's why I would go for that one. But after all, remember, these are straight out of the box. So like I said, there may be settings in both cameras that you can change to make the Canon that little bit better on video. But I don't think you're going to change on the Lumix for when it comes to sports photography and things like that. You're just going to have to go for that Canon. As for other reasons on the video perspective, well, it's going to be down to Vlog. I have fell in love with it since I've had it. It's just so easy to grade, and you know, it's the dynamic range on it and everything else. You know, that is just so much better than C-Log3, and on its own, that is a definite reason for you to go for the Lumix, because when it comes down to the color grading and that, it's just so easy. It's simple to do, and again, you can match the cameras up a lot easier. I've found. I really do love it. And then another reason for video is the fact that the menu functions on Lumix. As I said earlier, it's more focused toward videographers and things like that, but it's got so many options on there. It's got waveforms, Luma waveforms like this. You can also put the vector scope on there. It's absolutely fantastic, all the options that you can have. And I just love the way you can set the white balance on the Lumix. It is tickety-boo. Finally, the other reason for the Lumix for video, it does come down to all of the different formats that you can have. At the end of the day, I know it crops when it comes to 50 FPS or 60 FPS when you want to do that slow motion stuff and things like that, but that's not really a deal breaker, is it? Because when you do slow motion, it's normally close up, or actually if you need to more in the frame, you can step back a bit, can't you? But it's those other options that it has. The open gate in 6K, so that you can film things, and then you can actually set it up so you can cut it down for different social media things, and all that side of it just gives you so much more scope on it. And it saves you having to shoot twice, maybe. It has so many options on there. I haven't been able to go through them all, and especially when you get the X version as well, then you have the output on RAW and things like that. I know you can do that with the Canons as well, but it is so much easier to use. There's also 16:9 and also 17:9, which I'm actually starting to use a lot more lately, and I'm getting to enjoy it. Plus, if you have anamorphic lenses, then it has settings on there for you to be able to do that. I don't own any of them myself, but I do know a man who does. So if you want to find out more about that, then go and check Sam's channel out. One other consideration is going to be the stabilization. Now on paper, the Canon should be better. However, I mentioned in the other video when I did some tests and things like that, it's not when it comes to handheld. The Lumix is definitely, yes, it's in a class of its own when it comes to that side of things. It almost looks gimbal-like, it's that bloody good. But again, from my experience of using them both, when it comes to photos, I do think the Canon does manage to do better on that because, you know, you're not having to follow around and things like that. And it does seem to lock on the subject when it comes to the autofocus. So whether it's a combination of the two together, that would probably be why it looks so much better when it comes to the photos. But when it comes to video for Lumix on stabilization side of things, when it's handheld, it definitely wins hands down. But what have I decided to do? Well, at the end of the day, because I do a lot of sports photography and water sports photography, then, you know, it's really, really hard for me to say goodbye to the Canon, especially seeing as I want to get out and about and do more different types of photo shoots. So I can't really say goodbye. But I really, really do love the Lumix colors and all of the video aspects of it. So I'm in that bracket of the fifth option, which is somebody who does everything equally. I like to take loads of photos, but I also like to take loads of video. And sometimes I end up combining them both. So what I've decided to do is actually keep the Canon R3, okay, with a couple of lenses, the 24-70 f2.8. I've also kept the 100-500, plus I've got the 14-35 f4. And I'm looking forward to getting my 24-105 f.2, which I pre-ordered back in November and it still hasn't arrived. But what have I done for video? Well, I've kept the Lumix S5 MKII. In fact, it's over there. But what have I got over here? What I've ended up doing is getting rid of the Canon R6 MKII and a selection of lenses that I don't really use. They're in a box and they're collecting dust and things like that to get the Lumix S5 MKII X. Yeah, this lovely looking one here. And if Batman had a camera, then it'd definitely be this one. Plus a selection of lenses so I can use it for the videography side of things. So for me, what it's done is given me the best of both worlds. It stopped me procrastinating over things because the amount of time I sat on YouTube looking at videos and asking Sam, what does he think and things like that, it's just a waste of time. And at the end of the day, the gear isn't going to improve your skills, is it? But it does help if you've got good gear. And that means that I can get out and about and start doing more stuff and getting really good and homing in those skills. And at the end of the day, you've got to get out there and have a bit of fun, haven't you? But what would you do? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you've got any questions about the gear and why I swapped it out and things like that, leave them down there as well. If you want me to do any tests, let me know and I'll do a short video on the tests, comparing them together and things like that. And if you found this useful in any way, shape or form, do all that usual YouTube stuff. And why not check out these videos over here for some tips and tricks and different reviews on things. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there. Above all, have fun making stuff and keep smiling. See ya.